That's actually a really good transition to another topic here. Funny horror movies. Uh,
Oh yeah.
let's bring up, the simplest of them all real fast. Scary movie.
Oh
Um,
man.
I have this love-hate relationship with these movies. My favorite comedy of all time is Robin Hood Men in Tights,
Oh
which
my god,
has
so good.
the same kind of humor as Naked Gun and the first Scary Movie. Second one, not so much. I'm not a big fan of that one. Third one actually is a lot similar to the Naked Gun films. Fourth one, yeah, the dip down. I didn't even bother seeing the fifth one, but the first Scary Movie is so fucking funny for so many different ways in my mind. Um, I love that they took the idea of making fun of a lot of the things that Scream had already made fun of, but doing it in a way where you can't possibly think that it's a horror movie. Kind of like I one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie is when what's her name, Shannon Elizabeth, is doing this whole big pageant, and she's like, oh, I'm going to be doing a scene from whatever, and she just ends up being like, you know, Jim or Eric or whatever her boyfriend's name is, I can't remember. Like, watch out behind Greg, that's what it is. Greg, watch out behind you. Oh, he's killing him and all this, and everybody's like, wow, she's a great actress. And then she doesn't give a shit at all that he got killed because she wins the pageant. Like that is such a fucking funny movie. And so many scenes in that are hilarious. And another scene that I love that nobody ever brings up because it's such a quick line, but there's this panning shot where after the first girl has been killed, Carmen Electra's character, they're all the media outlets are all in front of the school and they're all basically saying like, there was this murder happening and people are still trying to figure out what's going on, and they see one set of press people and it's like the killer is still on the loose, and when camera pans away, and then there's another one and they're like 17-year-old blah 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 was killed and we don't know what's happening yet, and the authorities are still on the lookout for what, and then it cuts to what's supposed to be like Tyrone Jones or something like that from Black TV, and he's just like, "What, folks are dead? We're getting the fuck out of here. Let's go."
Yeah.
I love that because that's another trope in these movies. It's so great that the black guy dies first and stuff like that. I love it when people point that out.
Yeah.
But there's Scary Movie. We mentioned the parodies that the Simpsons do every year with their Halloween special. I know more about the Simpsons Halloween version of The Shining than I do the actual Shining because I'm just a huge Simpsons fan.
Yeah.
There's the movies like Scream, Zombieland. They just had that movie that was out like a year or two ago where it was like Nicholas Holt was like the zombie, and he's like falling in love with somebody and
Oh.
whatever. I didn't see it, but I've heard some good things about that. Funny movies like that, even something like American Psycho, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah,
It's kind of a
so
horror
good.
movie, but it's so much funnier than it is potentially scary. I've quoted that movie 1,000 times in a week just because there's so many great lines in that.
Yeah.
From
The whole business card part is just like the best. It's just so
uh,
awesome.
the first business card I ever bought, I got that, and I was just kind of like, oh man, this is nowhere near in comparison to Paul Allen's. And for those who were following us back in the uncensored days, we never got to film it, but one of our first sketches was going to be a parody of that parody of the kind of serial killer thing that they've got going on that movie. We were going to do a big scene with a conference table of people trading Pokemon cards instead of business cards.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was going to be a funny one. We just never got a chance to film it. But whether it's American Psycho or the Simpsons parodies or Scary Movie or whatever like that, what are some of your favorite funny horror things? Even if it is a legitimately like scary horror movie, but it's just a funny thing that happens in it because they happen too. I mean, these movies sometimes you can't
Yeah.
take them that seriously, and I still laugh my ass off anytime my one friend will send me a text message and it says, "Hey Lonnie, get your ass away from there," from the first Halloween movie, because it took me. I laughed my ass off when I saw it the first time. It was just like, why is this old dude saying that to Lonnie, this fucking little kid? But funny stuff in horror things. What comes to your mind, Caroline?
Oh man, the first thing that comes to my mind is the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Oh my god.
That movie was just like, I don't know, like people must have been like so high on drugs when they came up with that. It's fabulous. Everything about it, it's awesome. And I recently just rewatched Orca, the killer whale.
Oh, I love that one.
Oh my god, the whole scene where the mom orca gets killed and she ends up having her unborn fetuses aborted from her and the whaler ship or whatever, and then you see the dead orca crying. It's just like, what is going on? Like, oh my god, they're trying so hard to give that orca motive to kill. It's just an animal. You didn't see that in Jaws. But I also thought that was pretty cool. Other than that, I mean, I just recently watched Annabelle, and I don't want to give anything away because it's fairly like new, I guess, and a lot of people didn't really see it. But there's so many parts in that movie, and I like the movie. It's not a bad movie, but there are parts that you're just like, just like so stereotypical, like white people in horror movies that it's just like, oh, this wouldn't be happening if they were, you know, like Hispanic or, you know, black. It's just like, oh my god, don't go there, you crazy bitch. Like, you know, like it's just like it doesn't make any sense, and people like do stupid stuff all the time when, you know, in a horror movie when they hear like something in the next house or something, instead of calling the police or just being like, you know, minding their business. No, I'm gonna go check it out with my baseball bat. Like, no, you're just dumb.
Damien, what are you doing? He's baking cookies.
Oh my god, I gotta tell that story real quick.
Yeah.
The Omen, when they redid that film and they had that released on 6606, we thankfully I didn't have to pay to see the movie, but that's because the movie theater that I saw it in, they were complete idiots. They oversold it, and when we went to get tickets, they said, we think that we oversold it. We're turning people away, but if you can find a seat, go ahead and check. Which you don't tell teenagers, go ahead and check to see if there's a seat without paying. Because what we just did, you know, we just sat down in the handicap spot, like on the floor, because nobody was taking it, and we just watched the movie for free. But there's a scene in the movie, if nobody's seen it, pretty much spoiler alert, Damien's, you know, the fucking devil, basically. The movie's been out for so many years that it doesn't matter if you're 26, 27, you know the ending of this before you even see it. But there's a scene in it where Damien, it's like 2 a.m. or something like that, and his mom, played by Julia Stiles, I can't remember her character's name, she comes down and she sees that Damien's in the kitchen and he's got this big butcher knife, and she's just like, Damien, honey, what are you doing? And in the back of the movie theater, this guy clearly was trying to whisper to his friend, but didn't realize the magnitude of his voice, because he had a really deep, throaty kind of a voice. Just goes, he's baking cookies. And the entire movie theater just starts cracking up. And it took everybody out of it. For the whole 3 minutes, nobody could focus on the movie, because everybody's just like, yeah, I'm sure, you know, the hell spawn of Satan is like carrying around a butcher knife at 2 a.m. because he really wanted chocolate chip cookies. That was the whole fucking scene. That had to be one of the funniest times I ever laughed at a movie theater for a horror movie. We laughed throughout the entire movie of Hostel because of how ridiculous it was, but that was just this unintentional, yeah, dude, he's baking cookies, sure. Before I ask you, Sam, you know, different funny things, have either of you guys seen that commercial that's been going around now? Caroline brought up the idea of like people doing stupid things where I think it's for like Sprint or something like that. I don't know. There you go, Sprint. You get a free plug on the podcast. It's something like that where the people are running away from a killer, and they're like, well, why can't we just get into the running car? And they're like,
The
no, we gotta
running
hide by the
car.
chainsaws. And
They remind me of
idea.
they remind me of the kids from Scooby Doo.
That's such a good commercial. Because it just points that out so much, the stupid things that people do in these horror movies. Let's attack them with a flashlight, because flashlights do better than shotguns or something like.
There's a killer in the house. I might go to the second floor and hide.
Yeah, instead of just
the
leaving.
basement.
Yeah, the basement, even worse. I'm gonna go to the basement where you can't see anything.
The basement.
Because I forgot to replace that light bulb earlier, and there's no windows down here or whatever. Oh shit, I'm fucked. What's some funny things that are in the horror industry that you like, though, Sam?
One that I always get people that either hated the movie or adore the movie is Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh, I know so many people that love that, but I've never seen it.
I absolutely just love that movie. And there's so many people that hate it. They're coming out with another one, which I'm not sure how I feel about that, but it could be interesting. But I mean, like, they're abducting people and they're putting them in, like, cotton candy cocoons. And, like, when they break it open, this, like, caramel-looking goo comes out. It's horrifying. But it's just hilarious at the same time. Because it's always, like, clown-based horror. Like, they'll blow up a balloon and then, like, it'll explode and, like, kill somebody or something.